everyone, and welcome to Choreo Chat. I'm Angela Harris. I'm the Executive Artistic Director of Dance Canvas, and I am thrilled to be joined by Catherine Messina, who is one of our 2020-2021 choreographers. And we actually started with Katie in our 2019-20 season. And so it kind of has just drifted into this season because of our COVID shutdowns, but we're thrilled to have the opportunity to spend more time with you and get to know you more as an artist and a choreographer. So welcome.
Thank you.
And so I just wanted to start by just learning more about you. What is your dance background? How did you get to this point where you are now as a choreographer? And you still dance too, so a dancer as well.
Yeah, so I am originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where I trained in a studio that was primarily ballet, a little bit of jazz, a little bit of modern, things like that. And I loved ballet, but I knew it wasn't necessarily my home. So I ended up attending Emory University, where I could double major. One of the majors was dance. I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the city, and after graduation, I decided to stay. And that kind of led me to connecting with all these different companies, performing with Dance Canvas. It's kind of led me to being both a dancer and a choreographer in this community. I would say that at Emory, they really emphasize choreography. I feel like I had a lot of, for lack of a better word, trial runs with choreographing at Emory. So by the time I left, I was like ready to go, kind of.
So you mentioned that you danced with us before, and I remember meeting you on several occasions as an artist. And actually, while you were in college too, it was really exciting to kind of see your trajectory from being in a college dance program to becoming a professional choreographer. What, did you take away from those kind of experiences?
Atlanta is really a city of like knowing each other. It's more of a family-based city, which is good in a lot of ways, but it does mean that a lot of gigs come from kind of knowing each other and knowing how you work and things like that. So I would say while I was still in college, choosing to intern allowed me to start connecting with community members. I remember chatting to a few people after the show, and I think that kind of helped me become a dancer in the following year and just being connected to the community in general.
Let's actually talk about you as a choreographer and your process and what you like to bring into the work that you create.
Yeah, I definitely love having a really big cast, which is difficult um, as a new choreographer financially sometimes, but and scheduling.
Yeah.
Um, I enjoy working with big casts because I can make the stage like a puzzle and kind of architect where people go. That being said, I also just love working with a big cast to get like a range of experiences, a range of like pulling people from all different avenues of where I've met them, things like that. Those are things I try to bring into the room. I try to bring open conversation, very collaborative, just a good time.
And I completely saw the puzzle pieces of your work, as and how big your cast was, but also I think what was great about it is you could tell that they understood your work and they danced very well together, and that's really hard to achieve when you're not like a company that works together 5 days a week in classes and rehearsals. And with your piece, what I appreciated a lot was how kind of seamlessly they all worked together, even though they were kind of from different backgrounds and dance trainings and all of that.
Yeah, thank you. We were able to kind of create a really like cohesive, strong group in a really short period of time.
How do you think, as an emerging choreographer, what are some of the challenges that you have found yourself overcoming? Not just COVID related challenges, but just in general as an emerging artist?
Georgia is not one of the most funded states for art. I believe we are 49th or 50th every year. So I would say as an emerging choreographer in Atlanta, funding is definitely a big concern. I feel as if funding often, there's just not enough to go around. So it goes to the nonprofits, goes to more established artists. So I would say for as emerging choreographer, funding and the lack of grants in this city is definitely a big concern.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I started Dance Canvas too, is to kind of assist with some of those resources for emerging artists that are, starting out on that path. And if somebody was to describe Katie Messina and your work and who you are, what would you want them to say?
I would like them to say that I'm a leader in the community. I think that's something I take pretty seriously. I volunteer with Dance ATL. I kind of work to run my own festival, things like that. Um, I would want them to say I'm a genuine person. I think that feeds into choreography. Um, and as a choreographer, I think they would just say very like muscular, very physical mover, partnership, puzzle piece of the stage. I would say those things.
Audiences, you'll get to see a little bit about, unfortunately, what we haven't been able to put on stage yet. So let's talk a little bit about that, because that really was something that hit us all pretty hard. When the COVID shutdown started hitting our communities, we were right in the midst of heading into the theater for our show. And you guys have been working on your pieces for at least, 5-6 months. And if not more, if you go back to when you guys pitched the ideas to us in the first place. What was that like for you when the shutdown started to occur?
I feel like Dance Canvas was right at that moment, right? Where if it had been like a week and some change later, like it would have happened. So obviously there's a lot of emotions with that. And you're trying to be respectful about the big picture, So health, humanity. But it's just the timing of it. You're gonna feel things. Like my work was ready to be on stage. I was almost at that point where I was like tired of looking at it without lights and costumes. Like it
Right.
was ready. And then I call Dance Canvas the show of double delays because for me, the double delay is when you had a wedding, a show in March or April, and then it got moved to June, and then it got moved to August. Um, so just kind of like, breathing into that, it was good practice for life and what was to come.
What have you done as an artist, as a person, to kind of navigate through the past months?
Yeah, I would say my quarantine definitely had phases. I would say that right now I'm at a phase where kind of my life is back to normal, just in a mask consistently. So I feel like that's also very unique right now. You have some friends who are working from home, and that's really it. And then you have people like me who are completely back to life, which, has pros and cons. I would say at the beginning, really all of quarantine, if I'm feeling creative that day, I will like film myself doing a phrase that I've come up with, like letting the creativity hit naturally. Because then when I wasn't feeling creative, I had all this previous phrase work that I was able to kind of go back to, um, which is just a good idea for the future, I think, to kind of like ride your creative moments fully and then like be kind to yourself when you're not feeling creative and just not worrying about it. I was able to make a dance film in quarantine with 4 artists. Actually, one of them I met through Dance Canvas, Diara Webb. She's in Florida, a dancer from LA that I'm friends with, and then 2 in Atlanta. So the
Awesome.
film was an opportunity to connect with people who are not geographically close to us.
And I know that transition to doing your work on film and putting your work online and things like that. It's such a tricky new world for all of us. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how has that been for you?
I definitely think, at the beginning, I tried to take classes with people from Gidney, all of that. But the truth is, like, I know that it's an easy solution to switch a festival from in person to virtually, but I'm done with it. I will still support films because I want to see them, but I'm much more interested in outdoor content, outdoor shows, because going to shows was a big part of my personal life, which I kind of forgot, and now I don't have that.
Yeah, completely. And it's a completely different experience to experience things on camera. I mean, on a computer and watch it on the computer. I'm having a hard time watching dance online a lot. And then also to put a show online is a completely different experience altogether. So you mentioned it a little earlier, but you during the fall put together a dance festival here in Atlanta, and you did it both live and a live stream. Tell us about it. I want to hear about it.
So I ran the Fall for Fall Dance Festival in early September. Not last summer, but the summer before, I had run a summer class series, which was a free class series with kind of young emerging choreographers as the teachers. And obviously, last summer, I couldn't do that. So I was kind of thinking, like, what do we need right now? What do we need? And it was like, we need a way to show work, a way for people to think that they're dancers, like a festival. I just kind of went for it. I was like, well, I'm just going to figure it out. I was able to partner with Really Takes a Village. I was able to use chairs from core dance, like different spaces from different individuals I know. It was just a true community collaboration. And I was happy to be kind of like the person to facilitate that.
So we are gonna just do little snippets of your rehearsal footage so that audiences can get a peek at what you were working on, and hopefully eventually one day
Yes.
it's public for them to see. But do you want to tell audiences a little bit about what your piece was about and what they can expect in watching some of the rehearsal footage?
Yeah, I haven't talked about it in so long. So I'm happy to. Throughline was kind of an investigation on partnership, the idea of the duet, which I, as a choreographer, I don't often do partnering work. So I wanted to challenge myself actually. You will definitely see some, if we can, different unique partnering, different unique kind of like relationship to one another, and then a play with dynamic and shifting of space. I had a lot of very specific lighting ideas with my piece, so I would love the idea of bringing it to fruition one day.
I'm hoping it'll be very soon.
Me too.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Katie. We miss seeing you in person, but I'm so glad we got to have a time to catch up with you. And audiences, enjoy Catherine Messina's Throughline.